We're here with head coach of the men's baseball team here at Catawba College, Jim Gantt, fresh off the 2012 Southeast Regional Championship. Coach Gantt, can you kind of talk about what it means to finally win one and kind of get the monkey off your back from 2006-2008 regional finals that were finished in defeat?
Well, it's almost a relief to finally do it. I know Francis Marion probably still feels the same thing. They've been in that championship game, but you know, I'm real proud of what the guys have done, and I'm not so sure at times that each individual team was the best team until you go on to the next one. A lot of times the team that you least expected, like this one, is the one that wins it. But pitching, it was the difference, and that's something that we lacked throughout all the other years, at least the quality of pitching. We had some good pitching, we just didn't go as deep. And it feels real good to be able to win one finally, but the best thing about it was watching that dog pile, watching how happy the guys were.
The first Tusculum game, which was ended in 4-3 in their favor, you know, that was a good game. Y'all played relatively good. Lomascolo and Tuttle pitched relatively well, but you know, like I said, it was a tough defeat. But how was it a mindset changer? You know, after that defeat, how did your strategy-wise, how? Well,
really, we didn't talk a whole lot about it. The guys, we went to eat after the game, and they just didn't really look like they were into wanting to eat anything. They were upset about it. I think they were upset because they felt like they had that game won on the day that it initially started. And Tusculum was a little bit dead in the water, so to speak, and Tuttle had his real good stuff that night, too. And then when we come back the next day, they had a chance to regroup, and Tuttle was a little bit more, he had a lot of adrenaline going, he wasn't as sharp, and Tusculum's a good team. They did what they needed to do, and they beat us. And so it was kind of a shell-shock feeling afterwards. But we went back to the hotel and kind of regrouped, and we didn't have anything to lose anyway, because, you know, in most people's eyes, we weren't supposed to be there anyway, or didn't have a chance, and that kind of just focused them up. And but you have to be careful what you ask for when you go into having to play Mount Olive in the next game. And they're, man, what a good team they are.
Right, and how big was that? Was that a surprise for y'all to beat them, or?
I think it was a surprise, maybe is the wrong word, but we caught them at the best opportune time because of the devastating loss they had in the previous game. And if we were going to match up against them, that was probably the perfect time to do it, because on any given day, we could play them 10 times, they'd beat us 9.
You had a good quote that had to do with that. We caught Mount Olive right after lightning had struck them. Do you feel like they were kind of shell-shocked and on their backs a little bit?
Well, they had won the game against Lander. They lost a half inning of that game, and they lost the game, and they had beaten them throughout the entire game. And I'm sitting over there by the picnic table watching the end and thinking, trying to get ready for Lander. It looked like that's who was going to play, and all of a sudden I see the ball hit the lights out there in right field, and I was in disbelief myself.
So beating them, it seemed to be a big shot in the arm for you guys.
It gave our guys a lot of confidence because they had beaten us twice earlier this year at our own park, and that was a huge confidence booster for our team.
Zubiaga had a good quote where he said, I think that win we got over Mount Olive really got us going in the right direction, and we never looked back.
Yeah, I think they felt like they could beat anybody there once they had beaten Mount Olive, because they probably were the hands-on favorite, them and Tusculum and Armstrong Atlantic.
Nate King's performance against them was phenomenal, I thought. Only allowed 7 hits, 2 earned runs, and 8 strikeouts.
Yeah, we played Mount Olive earlier in the year, doubleheader, and they did not see Nate King. And it wasn't by design, it's just he had pitched the day before against Wingate in a non-league game. And they didn't know much about him, at least they hadn't seen him. And they had a good scouting report on our other guys. But he has that capability. He went to North Carolina State out of junior college for a reason. And confidence has come back around for him throughout this year, and he's very capable of beating about anybody that we play.
And then after that big win against Mount Olive, on to Armstrong Atlantic, which y'all seem to be relaxed and focused, and again, great pitching this time from Ross Whitley took hold, and y'all just took it from there.
I'm not exactly sure. I mean, I know what happened. I watched the game, but it didn't happen like I thought it would. Armstrong winning the Peach Belt and then the Peach Belt tournament. A great team. I mean, you got to have a great team to be able to do that, period, in any given year in that league. And Ross came out, I think he struck out 5 of the first 7, and we were able to score early. And their starter was having a little trouble there with throwing strikes, and it worked out a lot better than I thought it would.
Mm-hmm.
As the game went on, our bats came alive, and Ross kept making great pitches, and he wasn't just throwing strikes, he was locating strikes, and they really had no chance against him. And his curveball was outstanding, and it was almost at times to where there was a couple hitters in our lineup where they knew a curveball was coming and still couldn't hit it.
He had 14 strikeouts, which was a career high, so it was a perfect time for him to have that type of performance. Also, let me throw an interesting stat at you. Only 2 errors by your team the entire weekend, and both of those came in the first game against Tusculum.
Right, and the one error from Zubiaga, if he would just not thrown it, it wouldn't have been an error. And he was trying to make a play, and you can't fault the guy for being aggressive. But yeah, defensively, that's been our strongest point this year, our defense and our pitching. And then we try to do enough offensively, particularly late in the game, maybe a high pitch count on the starter or somebody out of the bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive play is what we have to do well if we're going to have a chance.
And then your 3rd straight elimination game Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon early against Tusculum. This time 6-1 decision in y'all's favor. Was it nice to kind of get Tusculum in that situation? Was there a revenge factor, or y'all didn't look at it that way?
Yeah, I guess you can call it revenge in some of them's mind, but it was more of a situation to me. We had been close against them a couple times. Game could have gone either way where we had won them, but I think it's hard to beat a good team that many times in the same season. So I don't know if that was on their minds or not. I know it was on ours. Mm-hmm. It certainly wasn't really about revenge or anything like that. It's about trying to win the thing, and we got off to a good start, and that helped us.
In this instance, John Tuttle stepped up. Had a huge game, full game, 9 innings, only allowed 2 hits, 1 earned run, and 5 strikeouts.
We had a no-hitter through 5, and if you have that kind of performance, you got a chance. The other team can't score. Mm-hmm. You don't have to do much offensively, but he was a little shaky early, and it's not really that he was shaky. He just has his adrenaline going. He needs to settle down a little. He got a double play ball early. We had scored early, and got some breathing room, and then he kind of just got dialed in. And realistically, with his stuff, he should be our best pitcher. It's just the maturity level with him, and when he's focused and on, that's exactly what he's capable of doing.
And then on into the championship game, were you and your coaching staff concerned that there may have been a fatigue factor going into that at all, or did you not see it? Were y'all running on adrenaline?
It was the longest hour and a half of our baseball lives in this season, waiting, because they were going to wait until 5 o'clock to start. And our guys were ready to go, mm-hmm. And I was a little bit concerned about that, but we had a chance to get a little bit to eat, kind of relax a little, and fatigue was definitely not a factor. You get to that point, that fatigue is out the window.
Y'all scored 2 runs, top of the 1st and 3rd. Was that kind of a good to get the head start on such a good team like Francis Marion?
Yeah, it's good to get a head start, but you don't want to score early and then stop mm-hmm. scoring, because they're going to make a run eventually, mm-hmm. which they did. But we had a couple of key plays, defensively, that kept that momentum from going completely to their side. And but getting out early certainly helped us relax a little and let our guys know that maybe, hey, we got a chance.
I mean, Lomo was solid. He did allow 10 hits, 4 earned runs, but he did the job for 4 1/3.
Yeah, he kind of scattered his 10 hits, and a lot of ground ball singles just out of reach of our infielders. Of course, that's part of Francis Marion's offense. Our hitters do a great job. And but yeah, I won't say he was in complete control, but he certainly didn't have his best stuff from short rest. But on his defense there, he's not only on short rest, he had lost 10 pounds 2 weeks ago from strep throat, and he's trying to get his strength back there. So it was pretty gutsy to be able to pitch twice in that. But he got us to the 5th with a tie game, and we knew the longer it went, maybe the better off we would be, because we had a lot of guys in the bullpen rested.
The would-be home run in the bottom of the 4th, I think, for Francis Marion, and then which turned into I believe it was a 9-4-2 put out You talk about that play?
Relay throw, yeah.
Yeah.
If that ball leaves the park, it's a completely different game.
Mm-hmm.
Because their momentum goes straight to them. It's a tie game, and they're still hitting. Boston, it got over his head. It hit off the fence. He picked it up immediately, and he short hopped Zuby. Zuby made a great play on the short hop to pick the ball up, and if you blinked, you missed the entire exchange from him to the catcher because it was so quick, and put the ball right on the money. Catcher Greg Lawson did a great job of securing that ball with both hands and blocking the plate and the tag, and that kept us ahead and kept the momentum from swinging all the way to them. You know, in a 9-inning game, there's about 3 jams you're going to have to pitch out of on average, and that was certainly the second one, and it was big.
And then I'm assuming the third one would be the next inning. They had already tied it at 4, and then kind of explain the 6-4-3 double play and how big that was.
Yeah, Brooks had came in and he had hit a guy on a curveball, and then he got a CNI single, and something that didn't go down in the box score was Brett Underwood dove in the 6th hole there and kept that ball in the infield dirt, and they couldn't score them. If it goes through, they score. It was a huge play. And then the neast batter, we got the double play ball, got out of the inning, and that was the third and final really threat there that we had to pitch out of.
And then Brooks was almost shut down after that. It was especially the 9th inning, 1, 2, 3. All of them were Underwood to Dula for the put out.
All of them ground balls to the shortstop, but Brooks, not only does he have a good breaking pitch, he has a good changeup, but he has some nice and easy velocity. He can run up there, upper 80s, low 90s, and he had his good fastball on this day, and we needed it. But you know, so you can't just sit on one side of the either off speed or fastball. You can't cover both of them. And the 6-3 ground balls in the 9th, I don't know how Underwood caught those balls because it was torrential rain.
Right.
And he picked it up and threw it to first like it wasn't even raining. It didn't bother and didn't affect him at all.
After the dog pile in the rain, did the realism set in, or did it take a while? Really?
Well, it took a while because we had the dog pile, and you're always concerned about someone getting hurt. But they had the dog pile, and then you look out there, and Underwood's out flat. You know, it looked like they killed him. 145 pounds under all the rest of the guys is not a good situation for him to be in. But it went from being happy and elated to in shock, hoping something's not wrong. And then it was raining so hard you really couldn't take any pictures or have a trophy presentation, so we were trying to get our stuff together and get out of that mess and move on. But you know, it really still hasn't set in so much, but a lot of it was just relief because it was so hectic. You know, the whole deal is more of a relief thing than it was being so excited, but we'll get excited before it's over.
Right. And so, well, congrats again, and kind of what are your general expectations or going into the finals?
Well, obviously we're going to be like the other 7 teams. We're going in hoping to win that thing, but not being there before, you never know how the nerves are going to factor in, that kind of thing. And obviously the teams are going to be outstanding that we're playing. So you know, it's just like any other time. We just want to go and play well. I know they have prepared throughout the year. They put in the time, the effort, and we just want to go play well and then see what happens at the end of the game and look at the scoreboard, not really worry about it throughout.
Okay, Coach. Thanks for your time, and good luck.
Thank you.